Hello, and welcome to Make Everything Possible. In today's video, we will be doing our Roach Laser Killer project. I'd like to give a quick shout out to a nerd father RJ. We found this project on Project Hub, so you can find the original schematics, the original code here on the website. So in this video, we will be doing our own rendition. So let's jump right into the materials we're going to need for our project. First up, we're going to need a pen to draw out our little roach. We're going to need one popsicle stick, blue putty, some scotch tape, a pair of scissors, and we're going to need our Cockroach Laser Killer box template. This is what we're going to use to construct the box. For our circuit materials, we are going to need our Uno, our breadboard, our wires, come in many forms. Okay, there's two kinds of wires. We have the pin. All right, they got two little needles, pin, and there's the pinhole. So one end has a pin, the other end has a slot where we can put pins into. We are going to need our photoresistor. This is what's going to detect the change in light. A 10 kilo ohm resistor. Okay. If you want to know if it's 10 kilo ohms or not, you can read the lines. There should be two black lines and one red line in the middle. That lets you know this resistance is 10 kilo ohms. Additionally, we're going to need our servo. Our servo attachment, which is a half servo attachment, right? It's just a little leg popping out. And finally, we're going to need our cable that's going to connect to the Uno to our computer. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start off with our circuit first. On the screen, you will see the circuit schematic that we will be following to build our circuit onto our breadboard and our Uno. So let's start off with the 5 volts and GND. I'm going to grab two wires, both of them pin. So I'm taking a red wire and placing it into the 5 volt port. Just like that. Next, I'm going to grab a black pin wire. And I'm going to place that into GND right beneath it. So now to hook them up to the breadboard, really quickly. Over here, we have a bunch of letters. These are going to determine the row, and the numbers here on the bottom, they're in intervals of 5. These are going to represent the columns. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to instruct you into which port I place it into. Okay, so the first one is going to be the red wire, 5 volts. It's going to go into 1E, column 1, row E. See, column 1, row E. Okay. The black wire from ground is going to go into 5, row 5, E. Perfect. Okay. Next up, we are going to hook up our A0 port. So again, remember, on our Uno, we're looking for A0. I'm going to plug in this wire right there. A0. Okay, this blue wire right here. And this one I'm going to plug into port 9. 5 volts is in port 1E, ground is in 5E, and A0 is in 9E. So that's going to take care of these 3 wires right here. Let's move on to our 10 kilo ohm resistor. That's this little guy right here. Okay. So it's going to go into column 5B and column 9B. So again, our resistor went into column 5, row B, and column 9, row B. And it doesn't matter which way you put it. You can put it back or forth. It goes either way. Awesome. Next up, we're going to grab our photoresistor. That's this little guy right here. Okay. Again, it has 2 legs. But it doesn't matter which one's positive or negative. They both act as either. It can go in both directions. So I'm going to grab 2 wires. Both of them have the pin and hole attachment. So what I want to do is grab one of the legs of my photoresistor and put it into the first wire, into the hole section. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. All right. So what I'm going to do is take the red wire, because I'm assuming that's my positive one. And I'm going to place this into A1. Right over here. Right? A1 on my breadboard. Just like that. The other wire, which I picked brown. Right? It could be black, brown. It's okay. And I'm going to place this one into 9-1 right beneath my resistor. Now our servo motor is going to have 3 wires. So let's start off with the simple one. The one that goes into port 2 of our Uno. I'm going to grab a pin wire. 2 pins. Okay. And now if I look at my servo motor pin connection, it's got 3 different color wires. Okay, the first one we're working on is the signal. Okay, so that green wire that you see on the schematic, this one right here, is going to be equated to this yellow wire here. So I need to place my wire, my pin wire, on the same side as the yellow wire of the servo. And then this pin wire goes into port 2 on the Uno. Alright, next up, we have our other 2 wires. And like convention, right? Red wire is for power, and normally black wire would be for ground, but in this case they have brown here. We're going to do the same. I'm going to grab a red pin wire and place it in the middle port of the servo. Okay, just like that. And this red wire is going into port 1D on the breadboard. Perfect. The last wire we need is the black one. We're going to place it into the brown slot of the servo. Just like that. And this one is going to go into 5C. This one's going to go into 5C. Right here. Okay. So 5C. Now that we're done with our circuit, we're going to take our blue connector USB wire. And I'm going to place it in the back of the Uno. Right here. And I'm going to insert this into my computer. As mentioned before, we are going to give you the code, but we do want to go over some things. Okay? So pin servo 2, that's us connecting our servo motor to pin 2 on the Uno. So you can see how the code reflects the circuit. Okay. Also, our sensor A0, that's our photoresistor. So our photoresistor is being tied to port A0 on the Uno as well. Now, since this code is yours to play with, trigger point equals 600. That is the sensitivity of the photoresistor. So we would like to challenge you to play with this number. Make it smaller, make it larger, and see what happens to your project. Additionally, we have servo write 155 up here in this code. Also down here, servo write 50 and 5155. Okay. So the 155 is the up position, that's its starting position. And the servo 50 down here, that's it going down. And then the 155 is it going back up again. And then you'll click upload, and that's going to transfer the code to your Uno board. Okay. If there's no error message, you're all good to go. So let's test it out. I have my servo right here. Just going to attach my pin real quick. Like that. And I'm going to take my photoresistor. And you see when I put it in front of the camera light, it triggers the servo motor to move. So we are all done with our circuit and our code. Alright, let's get started with our box. We are going to need our Make Everything Possible Cockroach Laser Killer box template. Just turn it this way real quick. And what you're going to do is cut out the outside lines. Okay, so we should have a lowercase t shape once we're done. So let's take some time to cut it out right now. And here we go. Got a little T shape. And now we're going to start forming our boxes by folding along these lines. Okay, so I have everything folded. Now it's time to use our Scotch tape. Okay, so we'll come together and put all of our box folded areas like that. I'm going to start Scotch taping it together. Perfect, and that's our box right there. I left the little flap open, so we're going to use that to draw our cockroach on. What we're actually going to do is cut that little piece off. Okay, so we're going to save this little square to draw our little cockroach, or whatever we desire. It could also be a target, and if you have any quarrels with Spider-Man, you could draw Spider-Man on this. Okay, a little box, a little cut off piece. Okay. So what I'd like you to do on one of the sides is to grab your pen, and we're going to poke a hole. Okay. This is where we're going to put our wires through. Let's begin with our roach. Just like that. Alright, time to make a little arm for our roach to sit on. I'm going to grab our popsicle stick. I'm going to break it in half. Just like that. What we want to do now is take the back side of our cockroach, like that. We're going to grab our popsicle stick and place it to one of the sides. So we don't want the popsicle stick in the middle like that. We want it to be off to the side. To create the bottom part, we're going to take our arm from our servo arm attachment. We're going to grab some blue putty. Nice little ball of blue putty. Place it at the end of the popsicle stick, just like that. And our servo motor, I want to put it off to the side. So it's not facing up, the little circle is facing up. It's facing off to the side. It's got some nice Scotch tape to really hold it in place. Next thing we want to do with our arm, with our roach arm, is poke 2 holes in the center. This is where we're going to place our photoresistor. What I'm going to do is detach the photoresistor from the wires of our circuit, because we know it works. I'm going to place it through those 2 holes. So it should look something like that. Photoresistor right there on top of the roach. And on the back side, I have the 2 little legs. And again, I'm just going to grab some Scotch tape to hold it in place. There you have it. Now it's time to assemble our circuit. Let's start building our project. So here I have my box. Hole is right here that we made. We want to place the servo motor towards the front, right? The opposite side of the hole. We're going to grab our roach arm now, right? Arm with a little roach. And remember, we have this little servo attachment. This piece of the servo is going to go onto that white piece, or the head piece of the servo. So you see it sits right there on the servo head. You can always push down a little bit. Let's combine the circuit. We're going to start with the photoresistor. I have the 2 wires that we detached them from. Right? Remember the 2 wires with the holes. I'm going to place these through the hole in the back of the box. Okay, they went through, come out on the inside, and it doesn't matter which leg you put to which wire, but each leg of the photoresistor gets 1 wire. 2 photoresistor legs both connect to a wire. Now time to wire up our motor, which is going to be the last thing. So remember, we have our 3 wires. The yellow one is for the signal, red is for power, and the brown one is ground. So everything's hooked up back together again. I have my little box. Let's see what happens. Goes back up.